happened here?
He got bit, I think.
He was an anomaly, a force of nature, a human wrecking ball who became the youngest heavyweight champion the world had ever seen.
And McNeely, as advertised, comes right at Mike Tyson. Down goes McNeely. And down goes Mark Young.
The butt heads. Oh.
Tyson with a left hook, a right uppercut. Down goes McNeely again.
Mike Tyson's life was a supernova of speed, violence, and unimaginable wealth. The world cheered the knockout king, but the secret history of Mike Tyson is a dark, psychological blueprint of trauma, manipulation, and self-destruction. This is the man who earned over $500 million and lost it all in a spectacular, chaotic fall.
I'm on the verge of dying because I'm a vicious alcoholic.
The man who bit an ear and later found peace through psychedelic drugs. What was the real psychological fuel behind the rage? What untold financial secrets caused him to go bankrupt? And what powerful forces tried to control the baddest man on the planet and ultimately failed? We are opening the deepest corners of the Untold vault to expose the psychological warfare, the devastating legal battles, the occult obsessions, and the painful path to redemption. This is the definitive, unedited story of Mike Tyson, the dark psychology of the baddest man on the planet. Before we begin this deep dive, subscribe to Untold Vault, where we uncover the secrets fame tried to hide. The forge of trauma, Brooklyn to D'Amato. Mike Tyson's journey began in Brownsville, Brooklyn, the most brutal landscape of poverty and crime. His official birth name was Michael Gerard Tyson, but his life was anything but normal. His father, Purcell Tyson, abandoned the family early. His mother, Lorna Mae Smith, struggled with addiction, creating an environment of constant instability. Tyson later confessed that his first feeling in life was fear. He was bullied extensively for his lisp and his soft-spoken nature. To survive, he evolved into a small-time criminal, running with gangs and engaging in petty theft. By the age of 13, he had been sent to various juvenile detention centers, accumulating over 38 arrests. He was on a direct path to the permanent prison system. The key psychological secret. Tyson developed what psychologists call reactive attachment disorder, a deep-seated inability to trust or form stable bonds, masked by aggression. His violence was not just a means of survival, it was an ingrained, defensive reaction to a world that consistently failed and betrayed him. It was at the Tryon School for Boys that he met the legendary trainer, Cus D'Amato. Cus didn't see a criminal, he saw a weapon waiting to be aimed. Cus legally adopted Tyson and moved him to his Catskill home. This wasn't just training, it was psychological reprogramming. Cus taught him the peekaboo defensive style, but more importantly, he taught him fearlessness. Cus's mantra, the hero and the coward feel the exact same thing, but the hero uses his fear. The coward runs from it. This became Tyson's religion. The Untold Vault secret here is that D'Amato was manufacturing the most terrifying psychological aura in boxing history, replacing Tyson's inner child's fear with external, projected rage. When D'Amato died in 1985, the anchor was gone and the monster was free. The Intimidation blueprint and the rise, the science of psychological warfare. By 1986, Tyson, at just 20 years old, became the youngest heavyweight champion. This rapid success was not just due to his power, it was due to his intimidation blueprint. This was a carefully curated image designed to win the fight in the opponent's mind before the first bell rang. The blueprint, the ring walk. No robe, no socks, just plain black shorts and shoes. Raw, aggressive, and devoid of celebrity flash. It suggested he was a gladiator, not an athlete. The stare. During the referee's instructions, Tyson would fix an unblinking, cold, malice-filled stare into his opponent's eyes. It was a direct, primitive challenge. The silence. He rarely trash-talked pre-fight. Unlike Ali, his silence was deafening, suggesting an inevitability of violence. This psychological warfare was deeply effective. Opponents like Michael Spinks and Larry Holmes admitted the fear was paralyzing. They weren't fighting Mike Tyson, they were fighting the myth of Mike Tyson. Spinks, for example, confessed he was defeated before the match started, lasting just 91 seconds. The dark paradox. While Tyson inflicted fear, he was internally consumed by anxiety. His former bodyguards and trainers confirmed that Tyson would be found hysterically crying or vomiting from extreme anxiety in the dressing room moments before the fight. The beast that entered the ring was built entirely upon suppressing that internal terror. This massive psychological debt was accumulating, waiting for the right moment to claim the man completely. The billion-dollar chaos, financial ruin, and self-sabotage. From 1987 to 1990, Mike Tyson was arguably the wealthiest athlete in the world, earning over $400 million and potentially up to $500 million, including endorsements. Yet, by 2003, he filed for $23 million bankruptcy, owing money to everyone from the IRS to his ex-wife. The untold financial secrets, Don King's control. The transition to promoter Don King was devastating. King, a master manipulator, exploited Tyson's lack of formal education and his psychological instability. King and his associates allegedly siphoned off tens of millions through inflated contracts, hidden fees, and unethical financial structures. Tyson's lawyers would later fight for years, claiming they had been robbed blind. The outrageous spending. The spending spree was pure self-sabotage. $4.5 million on cars, including a gold-plated Cadillac. $100,000 per month on maintaining his exotic pets, tigers and lions. $2 million on a golden bathtub for his first wife, Robin Givens. This wasn't luxury. It was a desperate attempt to buy self-worth and project a power he didn't feel. The entourage debt. Tyson carried a massive, non-essential entourage of friends and security that cost millions annually. This was his attempt to buy the family and loyalty he never had in Brooklyn. Every dollar spent was filling an emotional hole, a psychological tragedy that ended in financial ruin. Legal turmoil and the bite, the total loss of control. The legal and public scandals were the final nails in the coffin of his public image. In 1992, Tyson was convicted of the rape of Desiree Washington and served 3 years in prison. Regardless of the arguments surrounding the trial's fairness, the psychological impact on Tyson was absolute. He emerged a different, more unstable man. The 1997 Evander Holyfield rematch remains the most shocking moment in modern sports. Tyson bit off a piece of Holyfield's ear and was disqualified. This was not a tactical move. It was a total psychological breakdown captured live on global television. The psychological context. Tyson felt Holyfield was using dirty tactics, particularly headbutts. For Tyson, who spent his life reacting violently to perceived disrespect and physical betrayal, this was a trigger. The primal, shocking act of biting was the ultimate rejection of the controlled, D'Amato-trained fighter. It was the moment the unmanaged beast took over completely, choosing self-sabotage and shame over loss or control. He lost $3 million in fines, and his boxing license was temporarily revoked. A fitting consequence for a man who had completely lost his identity. The occult, addiction, and the spiritual rebirth. The hidden path. Post-retirement, Tyson's life descended into a dark cycle of drug abuse, erratic behavior, and depression. He struggled with cocaine and marijuana addiction for years, admitting that his final fights were often fought under the influence. The pain of the past was consuming him. The hidden spiritual secrets. During this period, Tyson was heavily influenced by the teachings of various spiritualists and often spoke of superstitions and dark cosmic forces. He sought out extreme, fringe philosophies to make sense of his chaotic life, often displaying bizarre and contradictory behavior. He was searching for a new system of control and meaning after the boxing world had abandoned him. The radical transformation. The most significant and untold chapter of his life is his spiritual awakening, which he credits largely to psychedelic substances. Tyson publicly discussed his use of bufo alvarius, toad venom, a psychedelic that induces an intense, short-duration trip. He claimed this experience was so profound that it allowed him to kill his ego and confront the pain of his childhood and the guilt of his past actions. This controversial choice led to his rebirth as a calm, philosophical, and seemingly peaceful podcaster. The beast was tamed, not by a trainer or a promoter, but by a radical, unconventional inner journey. This spiritual cost was necessary to save him from complete mental ruin. The unkillable legacy. villain, victim, or philosopher. Mike Tyson's legacy is unkillable, precisely because it is so humanly flawed. He is the ultimate case study in the intersection of trauma, talent, and toxicity. The final psychological verdict: Tyson was never just a villain. He was a product of systemic neglect who was trained to monetize his rage. His tragedy is that the very system that made him rich, boxing, media, and predatory promoters, was the same system that ensured his self-destruction. The man who now preaches peace, owns a cannabis company, and speaks openly about vulnerability, has finally integrated the beast and the man. He found that the ultimate fight was not against Holyfield or Spinks, but against the inner demons planted in his childhood. His story is a powerful, dark lesson. True power comes not from dominating others, but from conquering the chaos within oneself. The Untold Vault confirms that Mike Tyson's life is a brutal masterpiece of pain and genius, proving that even the biggest monsters are often just scared children underneath. In the comments, tell us, after hearing the full story, what is the most shocking truth about Mike Tyson that surprised you? Subscribe to Untold Vault, because every week we reveal the dark secrets and conspiracies history tried to hide.